And then the 10 years, and by the way, I'm contacting other people and.
Right. Perfect savings account for long term. Save it
Yep.
or something.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if I didn't show up, we wouldn't even have it. Well, I guess we might have a quorum. Close.
We got 4.
Well, Jim counts because he's on Zoom.
Is he on yet?
Well,
Is he?
Hey, Jim.
I can hear you guys.
All right.
Excellent.
You don't know what to do, just lean behind you.
Mhm.
That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
These are fairly easy, though.
Not like it bothered me on Tuesday night when the mayor says, would you like to say anything? I could talk about that all day long.
Ready for signatures. There you go. Sign your life away.
Thanks.
Good pen. Yeah, well done. And Peterson.
That's the 6th, okay. I'd like to call the regularly scheduled meeting of the Caldwell Urban Renewal Agency to order. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Commissioner Porter? Commissioner Porter?
Here.
Commissioner Doty?
Here.
Commissioner Warwick?
Here.
Commissioner Brooks?
Here.
Commissioner Moore?
Here.
Commissioner Allgood?
Here.
Commissioner Garcia is not here.
Excellent. Mr. Porter will be joining us via Zoom tonight, so he'll be able to participate in the meeting. Is there a conflict of interest from any of the commissioners? Seeing none, don't think we have any special presentations that I know of tonight that are not on the agenda. Any public comments? No? Alrighty, so we will move on to the consent calendar.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve the consent calendar and all of one item that it contains.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Commissioner Allgood?
Yes.
Commissioner Porter? Commissioner Porter? Commissioner Doty?
Yes.
Commissioner Warwick?
Yes.
Commissioner Brooks?
Yes.
Commissioner Moore?
Yes.
Alrighty. Okay, we have update reports. Do we have a representative from RRC Contractors here? Jenkins, you gonna speak on his behalf?
Awesome. Commissioners, thank you so much for having me this evening. I have a side gig. I work for and I'm just kidding. I'm here to represent Derek Cooper. And I talked to him just a minute ago. He regrets that he couldn't be here tonight. He planned to come and something came up. He wasn't able to attend. However, he wanted me to share with you that he submitted his plans to the city on the 5th of this month, and the intake has been paid. He's just waiting on the city for a permit at this point, so construction permit. So things are well underway for that to occur. He does have to work with our legal team to provide definitive dates on the construction timeline, but once he's able to receive the permit from the city, he said he can provide that that information. So he's working through the plans, he's working with tenants, and things are rocking and rolling for the project. He's really excited to be a part of the city of Caldwell.
Great.
Excellent. Any questions for Mr. Jenkins? Excellent. Thank
All right,
you.
Thank you.
We have Caldwell Housing Authority, Mr. Dittenber.
Start the clock.
You guys know me, so there should be a PowerPoint presentation with about 38 slides. Do you have that PowerPoint? No? Thankfully, no. Well, I think you will probably want to see some pictures. It's called Rice House Foundation. I brought it to the
Right.
I brought it to Debbie Geyer last week. She said she was going to make sure it was available for tonight. It's on there
It's in the packet.
in the packet. Okay.
Right down here. Wants to put it on the TV.
In the packet, it's, links to the agenda, so if you just go to.
It's worth seeing the photos. They're pretty nice.
Oh, you know what, are you?
There we go.
Okay, so see if I can't get through this in a relatively short amount of time. So that's the John C. Rice House. For those of you who don't know, it was one of Idaho's first Supreme Court justices. It was built on the corner of 15th and Cleveland Boulevard in downtown Caldwell. In 1986, the Crowleys moved it around the corner to the College of Idaho campus on 2200 College Avenue, where various stages of remodeling happened to it. And for the most part, it was damaged, deteriorated, sat in a dilapidated condition. Can we go to the next page? So that's what it looks like now. We won't go back and forth and compare the photos, but the people who owned it right before it was deeded back to the college tried to make it into a bed and breakfast. They added dormers, they replaced windows, they changed the original facade from the building and tried to make it into a bed and breakfast. And of course, it didn't work. Unfortunately, in the process of trying to make it a bed and breakfast, the old grand staircase is missing, and much of the hardwood floors are missing. Because it's been boarded up for close to 22 years now, most of the inside stained glass windows in the original architecture has been destroyed. So the next page, please. So that's kind of a blurry rendition, but we engaged the services of Cushing Terrell to redesign the house after it would be moved. There will be two apartments in the basement, one apartment on the main floor. In the front of the building will be a coffee shop or a bistro, and then 2 apartments upstairs. So a total of 5 apartments in the building. As you know, we committed to making these units available to public safety personnel as a priority, and we still plan on doing that. The next page, if you can scroll down. So that's the foundation. So here's where the waters get muddied. The company who wants to build the foundation says that we can build the foundation, but we need to make sure that it is structurally sound to hold the building. And so we had to hire a bunch of structural engineers and a bunch of other people to find out where the weight and the center points were to the building to be able to construct the foundation properly. The problem that we have now is that in order to move the house, there has to be beam pockets so that the house can slide into the foundation, and the beam pockets aren't necessarily aligning with where the windows would be in the downstairs apartments. So we have a little bit of conflict on how we build the foundation so that it can be properly moved and properly renovated. Go ahead and next one. You can't see there, but very well, maybe it's better on your packet, but to the bottom right, you can see how the 2 apartments are laid out in the bottom. You can kind of tell from the top left picture, but there will be some slight variations to make sure that there are 2 apartments downstairs. One of them will be a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and the other will be a 1-bedroom, 1-bath apartment downstairs. So these are the people that we're currently working with on a regular basis. Myself, when I'm available, Carlos from our office, Bradley from Cushing Terrell, Gary from Cushing Terrell, Rebecca. We also got 3 people from our Drua Engineering, plus Pacific Movers and Darren from Black Eagle Construction. So we are working regularly with a considerable amount of people to make sure that the move happens and the house is protected as it moves. The next one. That's kind of the downstairs, the basement, 2 bedrooms, or 2 different apartments. Go to the next one. The main floor, of course, in the front of it, we'll have a little coffee shop, a bistro, and then the back half of it will be an apartment. There will be a general entry from the porch from the front side into a little vestibule or a hallway where you can either go upstairs to the apartments or enter into the coffee shop. We do believe that there is enough of the hardwood floors left in the building that we can completely make the coffee shop bistro area as much as original as possible. Next one. The upstairs will be the same, 2 bedroom, 2 bath, and then a 2 bedroom, 1 bath. Notable about the upstairs, one of the bedrooms is located in the historic turret of the building, so it's either creepy or romantic, so whatever you want it to be. Next one. And that's kind of what it's going to look like in its completed manner. You can see all the dormers that were added after the fact are removed. The place will be put back to its original condition exterior. The Idaho State Historical Society is not interested at this time in removing it from the National Registry of Historic Places, providing we keep the outside in its original condition. And we're going to do what we can to keep it in its original condition. That building that you see off to the left is a laundry room, storage room. There will be no laundry facilities inside, so that will be a facility that will be set up to be used by the tenants of the place. And then I think there's one more. Yeah, from a different angle. Looks pretty good on the lot. And then one more, is there, or am I done? Another angle. The coffee shop out front, and then, is there another one, or am I done? One more? Okay, there you go. And so that'll be the back of the building with the porch that leads to the upstairs and to the downstairs. So anyway, that's about it. We are interested in keeping it as historical as possible, and we hope that moving it down to the corner of Kimball and Chicago, where it's going to go, will help provide some sort of kind of a boost down on that corner, you know. So within that, a couple blocks of that area, we have a couple other historic houses. We have the Roberts House, which is over on Belmont and 9th, I believe, which is an historic house. We have the Studenberg House, which is across the street, which almost burned down a couple times this last year. Those houses are on the National Registry of Historic Places, so we thought we would put one more. And then on the corner of 9th and Belmont, across from the Roberts House, is of course the old Presbyterian Church that was where the College of Idaho was founded at. So we have a bunch of historical houses in that area, and we hope to be able to put a little spark on that corner and maybe see if we can't rehab it a little bit. And just for everyone's information, Urban Renewal is not helping with the remodeling of the property. It's not helping with the move. It's just helping with the infrastructure and the foundation. That's the only part that you're eligible to help under the law. So anyway, that's the update. We plan on moving it on June 29th. And so we anticipate everybody being out there and watching it move at midnight on the night of the 29th. So.
Any questions?
Madam Chair, I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
So, Mike, I did not know there was going to be a coffee shop. So tell me how that operates. Does that operate independently, privately?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Moore, it will be operated privately. So we will find a vendor to operate the coffee shop. it will go to offset the operations or the rent. So we want to be able to provide rent as affordable as possible. So anything that we can do in the front, either in the form of a bistro or a coffee shop, will help offset that.
So that's open to the public.
That will be open to the public.
Cool. Well, I live about a block and a half from there, and I think that's gonna be a definite plus for that area. So I'm excited to see it.
Thank you.
I think you have one more slide, Mike. It's an overhead of the plot plan.
Yeah, maybe I couldn't remember what I put in there, and Mr. Doty told me to start the clock, so I got the hint pretty quick.
So I was just going to ask, off-street parking for your tenants?
So there, if I remember correctly, and if Cushing Terrell was here, if Angela was here, she's usually here, but she's not, she would be able to answer those. We do have enough of the off-street parking based upon those angled parking in the alley, but there's also off-street parking on Chicago that would be available. So of the 5 units, we think we have the 11 and a half, 12 spaces necessary for the off-street parking.
Thank you. Alrighty, next we have an update on Amano.
Everyone doing?
Good.
How are you?
Good, good. So yeah, the update that we have is that, obviously, many of you know that we're in a contract to buy an existing building, a private transaction, and we've been approved by the banks, by the SBA, by everybody. We're just waiting on the appraisal to come back. We're expecting it to be back on the 14th. If it does come back on the 14th and it's favorable to us, then we'll have a 2-week closing time after that. After we get back the appraisal. In the case it comes back and it doesn't appraise, then, you know, we do plan on coming back and potentially still doing something here. So.
Questions? Alrighty, thank you.
Yeah.
And TS Development.
How's it going? I don't have a lot to report because we're kind of still waiting on some stuff with the city. They're doing the vacation, I think, on Arthur the 19th. And then, I think last time we talked about we were gonna do some geotechnical testing. And we have some, test pits to be dug. I don't think they're big test pits, but, 2 days from today, the 13th. And so that's kind of where we're at right now. There's not a lot of other stuff, but do you have any questions?
It sounds like you're kind of on track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Madam Chair, I have a quick question. I didn't get to tell you last time you were here, I looked at that letter of credit. Thank you for providing that. Married up to your deal very nicely. And, thanks for coming here tonight.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys, working with us to get things done, so, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Luby Park improvements. That would be Mr. McDonald.
Yes, thank you, Commission. Just a quick update on Luby Park. Last year we had 2 projects going on. We had an irrigation project and then the pickleball courts. The irrigation project is completed and was completed at the end of the irrigation season last year. The pickleball courts were completed and we had our ribbon cutting in August. Since then, there were some punch list items that have all been rectified, including the fences were a little too high and there were a number of other smaller things. Everything's done except for one remaining item that has presented itself over the course of the last 4 months, is that some of the paint that was put down on the pickleball surfaces has been peeling up. And there are 3 courts that are not affected at all, and then the other 5 have varying degrees of are impacted to different degrees. And so we had a meeting out on site with the contractor and the designer a few weeks ago, and that was myself and Julie, the Parks and Rec director, to try to get to the bottom of it. And it's clear that there's some sort of issue with either the way the paint was put down or some of the thin set that was used on top of the concrete underneath. And it's not the entire area, there's just little isolated parts. And so we're trying to get our hands wrapped around what is causing the problem. There's certainly an acknowledgement that there's a problem by the contractor and by the designer, and so there's no surprise there, or they're not trying to deny that there's an issue. It's clear that there's an issue. At this point, we can't, because of the weather, there's not much we can do right now, and so we're waiting till it warms up a little bit, and then we will continue to evaluate. Everything is still under warranty, and so we're confident that we're going to be able to get it fixed, but there are some of this remaining issue with some of the paint. It's very isolated. The courts are still playable. They can still be used, and so that's not a problem. It's just, at this point, it's more of an aesthetic issue, but it's definitely something that we feel like needs to be rectified. With that, I don't think I have any further update on that, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions? All righty.
Madam Chair, I got a comment.
Yes.
So I'm in training to take up, pickleball. I'm excited. I've been down there a couple times, so, yeah, I am.
In training.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
All in training.
In training.
Excellent. All
Very
right.
good.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Okay, doesn't look like we have any old business. Want to check if there's anybody signed up to speak at our public hearing? Nope. Okay. Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
I'll bring up the,
Nothing, yeah.
so each of you got a lovely copy. I hope you like it. If you don't like the bill, I apologize, it's very small, but I wanted to, this is our 2023 annual report that we're required to do. I also have it published on the website, and then it will go to Transparent Idaho to be published there. With the annual report, this is the annual activities report, goes through the Urban Renewal Agency. As you can see, I describe what the agency is. Scroll down a little bit. And its purpose and goals. This comes straight from our plan, so if you don't like the goals, we'd have to change our plan. So, the 2023 agency highlights, I could read them all, but there's a lot. We did a lot of work this last year. I worked with Stephen to come up with these highlights. These are specific to try to think of completed projects. So I know we have a lot of projects that are in process and not all of them are completed, so they might not all be listed here. So as we scroll down, you can see the 2023 audit. Part of this, when I submit it to Transparency Idaho, to the State Controller's Office, I have to submit the audit. As we approved last year, or last month, it was a clean audit with a clean opinion, so just talks about that. I do have to talk about the board changes. So this last year, we had quite a few board changes, so that's what those are. In the report, I talk about our revenue allocation base for the North Urban area, just because that is the active area. I don't talk about the East one. It's not currently open, because that went to the city. And then as you can see, we have our approved budget, and then on the online report, it does have a little bit more on the actuals. So if you want to take a look at that, you're feel free. Just have a lot of actual data as well. But for the report that I have to submit, it just has the budget comparison. So for both revenues and expenditures. So that is the report. It's pretty straightforward. And if you have any questions, hopefully next year I'll have some more pictures. But our downtown is so beautiful that I tried to highlight that. So that's all I have.
Do we have any questions?
Madam Chair, I'd like to say thank you for putting this together. I was in a discussion today at work with 3 people, and I can keep that on my desk and and present that to them, so I like that.
Is the North Urban Renewal area generating enough income to support our continued work?
As of right now, it is not. It's less than 100,000 currently per year still, and just for what we contribute to economic development for their wages, it's not even half. So it's not generating enough income quite yet to cover even the economic development wages. So, 'cause it's this year it's about 87,000 is the expected property tax value.
So, kind of what's the plan, or is there one at this point to make sure we're liquid?
So, we asked, Rob and Steven this morning, and we can talk about what we're doing with the projects, but right now, it's waiting on some of the current property owners to annex in. That's kind of a wait and see game with that. And if you have any more?
Yes, just to reiterate, yeah, waiting on some annexations, that certainly can help speed things along with development opportunities out there. I have a report that I'll share here in a few as the meeting goes on, but we do have a group that has secured about 10 acres out there for a truck center, and that will start generating some increment as well. So any new investments that come in will continue to help churn that engine for us and keep things moving in a positive direction.
Yeah, I'm just kind of want to make sure there's dollars in the bank in the interim before because there's always a delay in collecting taxes.
There is, and so we're looking at definitely other opportunities. We talked today about bird scooters and that contract of kind of supplementing, where, if that money comes in, instead of just putting it towards the general fund to help with economic development, to supplement that income and stuff like that. So we're not just taking money from the general fund, but I will tell you that right now, because urban renewal hasn't been covering the full economic development budget, that general fund has been supplementing that budget. So, if that budget's not fully supplemented, general fund has been and will continue to pick it up with a transfer. I mean, it's ultimately up to city council, but that's kind of what's been happening in the budget currently. So.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I've been studying that area, and I know quite a few people that have property out there. I think it's just a matter of time before that place takes off. There's been some big interest in it, that I've known, and then there's been some that have pulled out, but I think it's just, we're in a pause period, and then I think it's a matter of time before that place you're not gonna recognize it.
Can I ask one more quick question? The general fund, supplementing the North URA, is that something that gets paid back, or is that just?
It does not. So that money does not go to urban renewal. That goes just it's a transfer to the Fund 28 within that budget. So no, because what ends up happening is urban renewal pays the city, for their wages. So urban renewal doesn't employ any personnel, so, yeah.
Thank you, yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I guess we need to move on to considering resolution number 2024-05, authorizing the acceptance of the 2023 annual report for the Caldwell Urban Renewal Agency. Yes, sir.
Oh, you do have to close the hearing.
You're right.
Or, yeah.
Anybody want to address? Nobody signed up to address us? Last chance? Okay, we'll close that hearing. Now I would consider a resolution authorizing the acceptance of the 2023 annual report for the Caldwell Urban Renewal Agency. I have a motion.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move that we accept the 2024-05 annual report.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Allgood, second by Mr. Doty. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we need to vote on that? We don't.
Aye.
Thank you.
Jim's back.
Alrighty, motion passed, great. Now we will go on to considering resolution number 2024-06, authorizing the reallocation of the project budget for the Caldwell Urban Renewal Agency. I think that's you again, Ryan.
Should have just stayed up here if I had to go get my other papers. So I was working with Rochelle, and then we also worked with Rob to discuss all the different project budgets. And I'm pretty sure Debbie attached the project list that has a couple extra columns on it, hopefully. So, as you can see, that project 2, project 10, project 20, and project 13 are over budget. When looking at project 13, that is due to electrical parts and costs. For project 10, I don't actually, that one, Rob might have to, if he's still here. Actually, he left, I apologize. So that one I don't actually remember the reasoning why it went over budget, so I do apologize. The other two, Usick Road, so when we budgeted 70% of the cost. So when those came through, we were just doing up to that budget amount. We weren't actually doing 70% of the cost. And so this is 70% of the actual project cost that came through. So if you do approve this, this is what that 70% of the budget cost is. And it would be coming from that Usick Road, which is, all of this is for Usick Road. So it would realign these budgets.
Anybody have any questions?
Madam Chair. So where are we getting the money from again? Can you reiterate that, or is there not enough money?
So originally when we realigned the budgets was from the Festival Street project that we canceled. A lot of that money when we canceled it went into the Usick Road project. And so we are taking that money from the Usick Road project to these projects. So that's what we're doing. So project 11, or sorry, project 12.
So you took the $844,000 to that and reappropriated it to the other
Projects
there?
Yes. And this is money that has already been spent. So this is not money that hasn't been spent yet. This is money that's already been spent by the city, that other funds are being spent, that currently other city funds are picking up. So,
Raylene,
yes,
I'm looking at project 2. It says the amount budgeted was 1.66 million. I don't have my glasses on. And to date, we're at 1.55 million. So that's not over budget, or that is, because we did budget 1.66.
so the 1,553,414 is the current year, and then the prior year we spent 110, which equals that 1.6.
Gotcha.
So we did spend the 1.6 million, but my understanding is that 1.6 million was off a project cost of 70%, but they did not include all of the project costs originally when they gave that budget to you guys. It was 70% of a project cost that they did not include all of the project costs.
Madam Chair, sorry,
No, go ahead.
who is they? Who didn't give it to us?
I don't know if it was, I don't know that specific day. I don't know if it was the previous treasurer, or if it was Rochelle, or I don't know who was providing the budget information to you at that point in time. I just know the previous person who was providing budget information to you did not give you complete budget costs, including all of the project costs from start to finish.
Just a comment, Madam Chair. I think in the future, we should have 25% to anything that's budgeted, because either they're under budget or they find something that they didn't know was there or something like that, but I'm noticing a trend. And so I think if we over budget versus trying to tie it right down to the penny, that or we determine a way that something is put in place that if they're over budget, why and how and who do we hold accountable? If there's no one to hold accountable for that, then I think that we need to add an expense so that we're not continuing to do this and shift money everywhere every time something's over budget.
I would second that too. I mean, that's been a trend since I've been here.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All righty, I would consider resolution 2024-06, authorizing the reallocation of the project budget for the Caldwell Urban Renewal Agency.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Moved by Mr. Doty, seconded by Mr. Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Any opposed? Thanks, Jim. All right, motion passes. And you're still up.
Still
with
up.
some invoices.
Okay, so we have current invoices for the month of March. We have the $18,900 for the March economic development contributions. $400 for the admin services fiscal year 24. So this one, we paid $8,000 last year, or last month, apologize. And it was supposed to be $8,400, so I apologize for the second billing on that. $60 for the 23 report printing, $3,074.89 for the final payment for the feasibility study, $16,100 for the 23 audit, $6,435 for the February attorney services, $6,427 for the second half of the ICRIMP insurance, for a total of $51,396.89.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we pay the invoices for payment from the Urban Renewal Agency Treasurer.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Allgood. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And you're still up.
So as you can see from our bank reconciliation, we have a total in the Banner Bank of $6,169,810.49, and in LGIP, $793,418.72. We did receive, both increment and interest this month. So we had a total in the North Urban Renewal increment of $6,823.06. And we're still receiving some past due payments in the East increment area, or the East area, of $16,911.52. We received interest of $9,973.41, and then LGIP interest of $3,625.62. So that's where it kind of stands. And as you can see from the overview of where kind of our bills are landing, and that we're dipping into our operating cash now, so.
Any questions?
And Madam Chair, I have a question on the prior, discussion. We were talking about these vendor amounts. Can I go back to that real quickly?
Yeah.
So that $3,074.89 to Clearwater Financial, final payment, that last, and not to open a can of worms here, but that last report that we received, that last study, did you not say that there was errors in that report as well, that you had found?
Yes.
Okay. So that total bill was $35,000 for two reports that weren't correct. Is that right? Is that how you saw it? That's kind of how I saw it too. So that amount, that $35,000, that comes out of this budget. I mean, how do you replace something like that? And to me, it seems like we paid for something that was inadequate. What's the recourse? How does that affect everything here?
Well, there's not, I mean, we received a product might not have been, I will say because of the years that, you know, the feasibility, the area that closed, it's not something that we can now use.
Right.
But I will say Stephen and I, with doing if we come to you and we say, we need to do another feasibility study, we know what we're looking at now, we know exactly what we need and the requirements of it, and we, you know, it's something that, it's not gonna be wasted dollars in the future for sure.
Was that communicated back to Clearwater that that report was inadequate, the second report?
So, it's up to you guys whether I cancel this contract still. It's still an open contract, like, you know, so it's still something that we can, you know, I know I asked you in the January meeting, and I know that I'm still waiting for direction on you guys, whether it's something that you want me to do or not, so.
Madam Chair? Yes, I think we've talked about this. We should cancel it. Clearly, we've gotten two insufficient reports. There should be another company out there that we could give a shot to versus continuing to pay Clearwater Financial that turns in a product with errors that cost several $1,000s. That's just my opinion.
So, specifically, it cost $35,000. Have they offered to complete that report and make it accurate? Or is it just going in file 13?
So, when I found the corrections, they did fix those, and then the report that was presented to you was an accurate report. So.
That one was accurate?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Hilty, if we want to cancel that contract, is that something that needs to be an action item, or is that just direction we'd give to staff?
Madam Chair, it's obviously not agendized as an action item. I think you can just give that instruction to staff, and I'll work with Raylyn as necessary to move forward on that.
Have consensus among commissioners?
Yes.
Everybody is in agreement
Okay.
to
I will
cancel
take that.
contract. Thank you. Okay, we need to get back to,
Need a
treasurer's
motion?
report. We need a motion, yep.
I'll make a motion that we approve the monthly cash reconciliation reports.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, you're off the hook, Ryan.
Nice job on
Nope,
that
you-
interest.
We
Yeah.
need your update on URA current project report, don't we?
The project reporting.
Mhm.
So, obviously with the changes with the changes, it will change the project report. But as you can see, more projects are coming to conclusion. I will say with the pickleball, I know Rob didn't mention it, but we will be getting $18,000 back, from them. So the city received it first, and so we will get it back from the city, so, for the liquidated damages, so. Yeah.
Thank you very much. How about some economic development reports? Mr. Jenkins?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Just a few updates to report tonight. As I start off, typically miscellaneous updates. Got it on the screen there makes it a lot easier for me. I appreciate that. So Project Magic, and to start off, is continuing to have great discussions with my department and also the just city staff and whatnot. They're working with a few departments within the city. They're concentrated on East Caldwell, actively reviewing sites. This is a national restaurant group. Project Fun is a family fun concept interested in locating in Caldwell. They'll be in town soon to look at a 2-acre property that may meet their needs. Project Spartan is an outdoor apparel brand that is working on a potential lease on an industrial building. This is a really cool one. They have a manufacturing operation and also a retail component to their brand. So it would be really cool to involve their product here in the community. And then this one was revealed via some of the media outlets and, of course, Facebook and social media. So Winco, I had talked to them and just asked how they felt about sharing this information. They own the land. They said we're okay with that. They want to let the community know that they're coming. So they're planning a large grocery store in Caldwell. The project will align with Brighton, some residential developments that are in and around the site. So that's a big deal for the city. We're excited about that one. Project Bingle, this is a big box retailer. I've showed a cost sheet with them, which is essentially an estimate of costs that they'll incur as they consider development in the city of Caldwell. And they are still communicating with me pretty actively. They're looking at a site in East Caldwell. Conversations have been very productive. Project Paces, this is a big box. They're under contract on a property also in East Caldwell. They're reviewing options with the city to create additional retail space on the site of interest. And then Project Spot, this is a big box that is strongly pursuing the city. They are concentrating on 2 primary sites, also in the east. They would like to serve as an anchor with within a larger retail center. The Domes Church, they're working on a workforce housing project, which I think is a certain need for our community. We're extending options that may help this project come to fruition, mostly from a financing perspective. You know, we're trying to get creative with some of our departments, inter departments here at the city, pertaining to maybe CDBG or different funding options that we might be able to share with this group. LPC West, we recently celebrated a ribbon cutting on 400,000 square feet of industrial space between 2 buildings. They also have strong interest for the use of occupying both buildings there. And then shifting gears, Commissioner Allgood, this is in reference to the question that you had posed earlier. North Caldwell, we have 10 acres that are under contract with the truck center use. This project will set up the district well for investment, creating further opportunities for the district as a whole. And then we have a new owner for a 12-acre property in North Caldwell as well. They would like to create a small industrial park with small half-acre to 1-acre lots. So that's an exciting development as well. And then we also have interest from a large manufacturer. They would need 50 to 100 acres. It's a pretty big deal for the city. I think even having industrial land in general is a real benefit to Caldwell as we move forward, particularly with projects like Micron that are entering the Treasure Valley as a whole. It's going to create a trickle-down effect of interest. So it's nice that we have available industrial acreage to be developed. So this particular group has 6 facilities in the U.S., and we've had some good progress with them. And then shifting to downtown updates, we have a 2,000 to 3,000 square foot concept. They're looking at a new construction project. And then Project Sunny, their eatery tap room concept that's investigating opportunities in the downtown core. They're looking to purchase a pre-existing building that will align with their growth plans. And the last thing I have to share is we are executing a feasibility study with Points Consulting, and this is on the basis of a $25,000 grant that was received by Capital Matrix to go ahead and move forward with this proposition. And really, it's for an ag-based incubator or innovation center here in the city of Caldwell. Obviously, we have a lot of historic ag, and we have a burgeoning wine industry that's going to help with our ag-based projects in the future. So this group is going to help us to understand the sustainability and the potential creation of an incubator in downtown or elsewhere within the city limits of Caldwell. And with that, that's all I have, unless there are any questions for me.
Questions?
Madam Chair, I have a question for Stephen. Stephen, thanks for this report. It's very easy to follow here. The backing up here to the new owner for 12-acre lots, the small 1/2 acre to 1-acre lots, if somebody's interested in that, how do we put them in touch with that? I'm sure it's got a ways to go, but that's a pretty good demand right now from what I see.
Yeah, Chair, Commissioner Moore, I agree with you fully. I think it's a great niche, and it'll be certainly highly utilized. They understand that there's a desire in our market for smaller industrial sites and or buildings. So I would say that they're probably going to work with a broker on that property, and then once that information gets out, we'll do our part to share that information to interested parties. So we try to help support the brokers that work pretty closely in the Caldwell community, but we know that there are different groups that have the desire to occupy space or even do a new construction project on smaller acreage parcels.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of great stuff going here. I mean, a grocery store, and I imagine in a place that we really need it. So, great idea.
Absolutely.
Where's the Winco site?
So the Winco site is on Highway 2026 in Midland.
Okay. And then the other question, I'm hearing on the radio some game center in town. Where is that? I've missed where this is at.
Yeah, great question. So V Sports Arena is located beneath Crossroads Church, and they do VR, they have laser tag, they have axe throwing, they have a variety of games that are there. It's a great facility. They had their ribbon cutting recently, and I think that's probably where all the attention has come from. But they're a great group. They're the young owners. They came down here from northern Idaho. They had the concept in Coeur d'Alene and brought it to Caldwell. They've been very successful, and we're excited to have them part of the community.
Awesome. Thank you.
think it's 521 Main Street, sorry. Just remember the address as I was finishing up.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
And Ms. Morales brings us to you.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners, and I first want to start off by thanking Chair Doty for attending that ribbon cutting a couple of weekends ago. Wasn't feeling too well myself, so I wasn't able to attend, so thank you so much for attending. And as well as last week, you attended quite a bit of few ribbon cuttings, and we appreciate that, and so does the business community. My downtown updates, Project Round, family-owned dessert business that started in California. Mentioned that during my last updates. New updates for this is that they are going to open as soon as possible. They just signed an LOI, so we're super excited for them. They are also opening up a location in Middleton as well. New projects, Project String. This is a service retail provider that offers services that are currently not offered, and they do want to be in our downtown. They are looking for a smaller space, so that is hard to come by. Project Light, this is a home decor fragrance business that's seeking small space as well, 500 square feet of space to 1,000 square feet of space. I believe they might have found a home. Let you know next month if that is the case. Project Fish, this is these folks have engaged conversation for consideration for future expansion into our community. It is a much needed service for our community, and they are currently in expansion mode. They will be opening up a second location in Canyon County, and we're hoping that they would add Caldwell as another location. Project Breakfast, also engaging these individuals in conversation for consideration for future expansions. They currently are only serving Ada County at this moment. And some downtown business comments and updates, Ruby Bloom. They've had their busiest Valentine's Day since they've relocated into their new location. She shared with me that the two previous years combined together is what she made this year in her new location, so she was super excited about that. Chippy Door, they had a great grand opening. Shared stories, possible open day will be later this month. And our downtown continues to they're going through shoulder season right now, which means it's a slower time frame. So if you have any gifts or you want to do some eating, make sure you stay within our downtown if possible. And those are my updates for February.
Questions, Mr. Elwood?
The bookstore at Kimball Arthur,
Mm-hmm.
that property, has it sold? Is it moving along, or what's going on there?
It's currently under contract at the moment. We should know later this week if indeed it will be sold. So soon.
Madam Chair, I have a question for Ophelia. In your journeys and travels, anybody have any existing parking issues that might be affecting their business that you know of?
Affecting their business. I actually just shared these comments this morning with some of our team members. I did have a business reach out to me that they have resolved sort of their parking issues with a business that's right next door to them. So there's a bank that's next door to them. And not necessarily that they're currently having a parking issue, that they want to be prepared for when there's paid parking. And so the bank has allowed them to use their space for their customers at no charge. So they're just kind of getting ahead of that. Not that I'm aware of. Of course, there's always that conversation of, some people like it, some people don't. There was another business that reached out to me, and I shared this with the team this morning, and they were interested to know why 9th Avenue wasn't included for paid parking. And I did let them know that in the future, this is a flexible parking plan, that if that needs to be included, we'll include that in the future. But so those are some of the questions that have been coming my way.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, looks like it's time for an attorney report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Commissioners. Got really one item on the attorney report to discuss, and it has to do with the Tillian project Phase 2, which I think you all know is maybe in a state of flux. Last month, Dean Pape appeared before you and kind of outlined the major points of an amendment to the DDA that he would like. Of course, the DDA governs the development of that site. Right now, it speaks to the development of a hotel. He is seeking some relief from that. I've let Dean know consistently that he is welcome to bring forward an amendment to the DDA anytime that he wants to. And it is, we all understand that the agency would have to approve an amendment to that contract. I think rightly, he's wanting to engage staff and get some sense that that can be brought forward in a form that would be acceptable to the agency. And he's been reaching out, and he's been consistent over the last month to try and follow up on the comments that he made to you at the previous meeting. It presents a difficulty from staff's perspective about how to move forward on that negotiation. I think we've kind of got at the staff level the same concern that Dean has. We would like to also negotiate something that makes sense to the agency and bring forward something that we think you'd look at favorably. And so the question that I'm going to ask you to think about is how does the agency want to go forward with this negotiation? By way of background, Dean had 3 major points that he wanted to address. And he sent out a letter providing a little bit more detail on that. The letter is dated March 6th. I received it on the 8th and forwarded it to Debbie and had her circulate it to you. So this did come in after your packet went out from Debbie Geyer on presumably Thursday. The 3 points would be, first, the agency would authorize a temporary parking use on what is Phase 2, where the hotel would go under the current DDA. That is something that DeChase would design and construct, and manage, right? So presumably, whether it's paid parking or limited parking or restricted parking, that would be up to DeChase, not the agency. Commence construction within 12 months and complete within 18 months. So that kind of be point 1, is there's a temporary parking on that location contemplated. Number 2, the ultimate build out or development of that site would be extended for a period of time no longer than 10 years. And then third, right now it's required to build a hotel there. That's the use contemplated in the DDA. That would be relaxed to allow for any use permitted by the City of Caldwell zoning. Those are the 3 points that he has. This is just me talking. I think these are the things that make sense to DeChase. This is what they would like to see. This is a starting point for them. I think he recognizes that there will be some negotiation, and he's beginning with what he would like to see from their perspective. From staff's perspective, and I did have a meeting with Chairman Porter and Commissioner Doty about this issue last week and how to move forward on it, and my idea for moving forward. And there are some concerns with an amendment that looks like that, at least from, I think I can speak for all of staff. We haven't had a DDA project where we allowed the developer to build anything that complied with city code. We've generally had pretty specific requirements for what needed to be built. We've certainly never allowed for an interim period of up to 10 years. And you may recall that there's more than one developer, I think, that came forward to the agency wanting extensions of time that were denied. And so that, I think, is a difficult one in terms of trying to remain consistent with some of the decisions the agency's made in the past. That consistency is not a legal obligation on you. You're authorized to amend the DDA however you want to, but that is a concern of staff, and we think maybe a concern too of the commissioners. There was a parking agreement, as you know, that was crafted around the development of a hotel, and so if there's some other use, it may impact that parking agreement. That might be something for the city to deal with because that was a city agreement, but I think it probably has a home in this discussion for us to talk about that. And then in the fall, there were some commissioners that expressed concern that we were paying 100% of the project incentive for only phase one. And so there might be something to talk about there as well.
It was me.
I don't think it was only you, but I wasn't gonna name names. It was at least you.
I don't mind claiming that one.
I think that there are several dials to turn to see whether it's possible to get to an agreement. The other thing that as Dean mentioned last time, and he's reiterated this, he has now apparently some hotel developers that are reaching out to him and potentially interested in some kind of hotel product that would comply with the existing DDA. So that, I guess, is an option that may be back on the table. All of this to say, we certainly want to engage with DeChase in good faith and try to see if there's a way forward addressing what their needs are, along with at least some of these concerns that I'm mentioning tonight. Question is, how do we do it? He has, in the letter, if you had a chance to read it, he was requesting a meeting with staff and all of the commissioners. That would presumably require a special meeting. Obviously, you're subject to the open meeting law, so we need to schedule that and notice it, and it would be open to the public. But it is a format that we could accommodate. My idea, and the one that I shared with Jim and Brad, was that maybe this is appropriate for the agency to, I guess, sort of authorize a committee to engage with DeChase on some of these issues here in the next month and see where it goes. Specifically, and again, this is just, I guess it's a recommendation coming from me, that the team probably would include Jim and Brad and me and Stephen. I think that's a decent number of folks to sit down. It's not a quorum of the agency, so it wouldn't be a group that was subject to the open meeting law, but just discuss some of these issues and see what options are available. So we kind of know where they are. They meaning DeChase's proposal, I would consider that an opening offer that they expect to be negotiated. Question is, how are we going to engage with them? And if we want to do the entire agency as a assembled commission, we can do that, or we could go with some smaller group that's got representation from the agency to try to wrestle through some of these details and see what we can do. So that concludes my report on this, and I'd certainly stand for questions.
Questions, comments for Mr. Hilty?
I have some comments, not necessarily for Mr. Hilty, but I meant if
Howdy.
he's standing up there, I guess he's gonna get it. Couple things I want just the board to realize is this isn't our problem. And I felt that the letter was kind of, my perception is threatening, or if you don't do this, this may happen. And I'm referring to the other hotel as you read through this letter, and it implies that OB may be affected. I think we need to make the decision based on the problem in front of us. They haven't signed anything. And at 500, so to speak, though that won't be its name, I think most people understand that better, have not signed any document, though I think their intent is well. But we don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 months to a year, if they will even show up here. And so saying that it may affect them, I think we need to handle the property at hand, not only for our taxpayers that are here, but in fairness to other folks that we've approved up here or disapproved. We have spent, I'll reiterate it, millions of dollars for a phase one and phase two. All that money was spent on phase one, and now they want their cake and eat it too, control the parking lot and charge the money for it. So that is a non-starter for me. That if anything were to come from that, the city should control that lot. We're already out millions of dollars and don't have a hotel. I think Mr. Hilty already touched on it on the zoning. First of all, I don't think that this board has any authority to supersede our zoning requirements or our ordinances to allow for exceptions within a contract. And so definitely the wording on that would need to be, we would need to figure that out as to how that's to be appropriately worded so that we're not overriding what city council has chosen for that area. Again, just touching the timelines are so far unacceptable to me. 10 years to build something out, 5 years before you start anything, even if it's parking, a couple years before they get it done. I just think that's unacceptable as well, again, based on the millions of dollars we've given them. And then, yeah, I was very disappointed that it was dated for the 6th, but Mr. Hilty, credit to him and his office, got it to us as soon as they got it, so that's not Mr. Hilty's fault. But he dated it for the 6th and didn't send it to us till Friday. And now here we are making, not a decision, but discussing it on a Monday. I don't know if that was planned or an oversight, but certainly, I guess what I'm gonna come full circle now is this isn't our problem. So his rush and his emergency is not our problem to get him out of a hole that they have dug. And I think we should take some time and consideration to determine how we move forward. So, thank you.
Any other comments?
I would love to just follow up on Commissioner Doty. I just kind of want to remind everybody, go way back for a minute. We have planned on a hotel in this area for a very long time. And nobody said they could do it, nobody said they could do it. And then DeChase came in and said they would get it done. And they won this contract, this agreement with us.
Based upon
And then they brought in experts, and I don't remember who the experts were, but they brought in experts and said the hotel will not work here. It was them that brought, our mind never changed. We were always on a hotel down there. They brought in the experts and said, this is not good, hotel's not gonna work here, you need to think of something else. So we didn't change our mind. They attempted to change our mind. So the city, in whatever function, kind of moved forward with this second hotel idea because we were relying on this professional input that we had received. And now Chase is coming back to us saying, oh wait, we have 2 people interested in building a hotel here and it will impact your current plans. And so I gotta say, I'm a little, I'm doubting the veracity of what they've been telling us. I guess that'd be the nice way you might put that. But I guess the point I'm saying is, from a commission's point of view, our mind has not changed. We have always thought that we wanted a hotel there, and that's something we have been working on for long before DeChase showed up. And so, I believe we all kind of feel like we're getting our arm twisted here a little bit. This proposal the letter that we received, well, I have a number, I'm not even gonna go into it, but I have a lot of issues with that. I don't think I could sign off on any of that. But my point is that the reason we got off the hotel in this spot was based on DeChase's information, that they provided experts here that said it wasn't right. And for them to come back now and say, oh, no, we can put a hotel here, I'm a little frustrated with that. Anyway, that's...
Thank you. Any other comments?
Madam Chair,
Mr. Moore?
a little bit more discussion to piggyback what these two said. Yeah, thank you for getting that over to us. I wasn't too happy with receiving that at 1 o'clock on a Friday and having to digest that over the weekend, for a meeting tonight. So thanks for getting that over. Yeah, I too sat here, I think it was July of 2023, for an hour-long presentation by a third-party vendor that they were not interested in that lot. It's an hour that I won't get back, and I guess it's, yeah, I'm just kind of confused at the back and forth. So with that, I got a question. Has there been any type of communication on what OB Hospitality's position is with this? Because in this letter, it states that they're ready to back up or back out. Has there been any communication with that, Mark?
I don't know if Stevens had any more communication, but Dean had a letter from them indicating that, I think that if there were 2 hotels in the downtown, they would cannibalize each other. I think that was the phrase. Maybe that's the phrase in this letter. But I think there was something from OB that expressed concerns about going forward if there was going to be another hotel in downtown. Yeah.
Have you seen that letter? Has
Yeah, I
anybody
did.
seen it?
I
Can we see it? Can we see a copy of it?
certainly.
Okay.
I thought that it was among the materials presented at the last meeting.
No, I never saw it,
Mm-mm.
or I looked right over it.
Okay.
Yeah, I never saw it.
Yes, I will get that to you.
Okay. Next question. What do we have from Obi Hospitality in the means of do we have a contract? Do we have anything in writing that they are due to come, that they are coming? Can you bring me up to speed on that?
Yeah, they are in a due diligence period. We have an ENA, an exclusive negotiating agreement with them, and so they are moving through their due diligence. There is, neither the city nor Obi are committed to anything at this point, other than good faith negotiations.
Okay. And then, is there anything that you can state or anything that you know that what the mayor's position is on this project, what he'd like to see? Has he expressed any concerns or comments? I mean, I remember a letter that we got on behalf of Amano from him one time, so I'm just wondering if he's privy to this.
He is. I had a conversation with him this morning, a brief one. Forgive me, I'm trying to remember. I don't want to put words in his mouth. I think he was certainly concerned about the 5 to 10 year time frame. I think that was an issue for him. I don't remember if he expressed any other particular strong opinion on it.
Okay. The lots, so the apartments and then that lot, is that current lot that's vacant, is it pledged as collateral on an existing loan, or is it standalone, free and clear?
I don't know the answer to that for sure.
Okay. I'd like to know that, if that's been pledged. And then, since I'm new, I was new to the committee at that time, just so I have my numbers correct here, the lots down there at that time when they were awarded, or had a value of somewhere around 1.2 million, is that right?
You're stretching my memory back, Commissioner Moore. I want to say that was about the acquisition cost.
Yeah.
For those.
Okay. And that was both?
Well, there were several lots there that were acquired. I want to say there was maybe half a dozen.
Okay.
And that was, I think the total purchase price was somewhere in that neighborhood.
Gotcha. And then, maybe this was a question for Raylene, but that total amount of concessions cash that was given along with those properties, what did that total? Yes. Was it 3.4, 3.6? And second question to that, is all of that money been spent? Has it all been used?
Sorry. The incentive is about 3.2 million. That doesn't include the properties. That's what we paid out to them, is 3.2 million. And the remaining amount that we have not paid out is about 98,000.
Okay.
So that we're holding for a trash compactor issue.
Yeah, gotcha. So I wasn't around when this all was awarded. So just asking you, Mark, that 3.3 million in concessions, cash, and in the original RFP, it didn't state that, 2 million of it's for the apartments and 1.5 or 1 point whatever is for the lot. How did that all get away from us?
The DDA simply indicates that it has a schedule of permissible costs, and so we worked on, that the urban renewal dollars can't be spent on anything, and there's a list in the statute of what is permissible. So we worked with them as we were negotiating the DDA on this list of permissible expenses, and the DDA simply indicates that as they incur those expenses, they would be reimbursed by the agency. So it wasn't broken down on a per phase basis.
Yeah. But there's $98,000 that's left, and that's gonna be appropriated where? To apartments or the future lot?
So if we end up paying it, then it would be to the apartments, because that's where the reimbursement, but the trash compactor issue is really a discussion that we're trying to work out as a reimbursement to them. So if it does, then it would get paid to the city potentially too.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you, Relyn. Okay, so finally, Mark, just looking at this letter and going over it, I don't see where there's a whole lot there and I'm in agreement with. Thank you for taking my questions.
Madam Chair, just one follow-up. So, but the land, I know Dave wanted to see, if it was involved in the loan or not, but the land itself is deeded in with the apartments. Urban Renewal does not own Phase 2 land.
Correct.
So it's tied up.
It has been transferred, and to specifically to his question as to whether it forms part of the security.
Right, I just want to make
I
sure
don't
that
know.
was clear, so we don't own it
Correct.
anymore. It's,
Right, I'd just like to see if it's already been pledged.
Any other questions?
Just a comment. And I realize we're still in the discussion phase with Obi on the other, and I don't know enough about it to make an educated decision on what's happening there. My thought is if we built the hotel where we first intended, it would immediately be a tax-paying entity to the general fund, where if we build a hotel on already city-owned property, I don't know what the revenue from that would be, but can't pay taxes on a city-owned piece of property. And so, that's one of the things I've been, again, leaning because this was the original intent, and once it's up, it's paying taxes, and that's the whole idea, so, anyway.
Thank you. I guess I just want to draw everybody's attention to like the third to the last paragraph of that letter, where it says, time is of the essence. We need an agreed upon amendment within 60 days of the Urban Renewal's upcoming meeting on March 12th. Developer will need to proceed per the current DDA to start construction on a hotel by December if we are unable to amend the DDA by May. So what that says to me is they intend to proceed with a hotel if we don't amend it. So if we do nothing,
correct.
they'll be proceeding with the hotel by December, correct?
It's November, isn't it?
December 1st of 2024 is the deadline in the DDA, and yeah, I think that's a fair reading of the letter.
It just
Madam
wanted to
Chair,
make sure that was out there.
I'm confused because I sat through a meeting in July of '23 that they weren't gonna.
I was at the same meeting, yes.
Right.
Yes.
So, Mark, do we have to do a new parking agreement if a hotel does go there?
No, I don't think so.
So do we need to, I'm thinking we need to give staff some kind of direction, right?
Yeah,
We can either start a committee, or we can not and say, build your hotel.
That's a tough decision to make, not knowing where we are on the other situation, but I'm in agreement with you, this is a priority. This problem has to be resolved before we do anything else.
And I agree, and I don't think we should base this decision on woulda, coulda, shoulda, what might come.
What might happen?
So I think their intent is well, meaning OB's intent as well, but they have not, we're not committed to anything, and neither are they at this time, so.
We could absolve DeChase of having to do that, and then OB still might not build one anyway, and then we'd be left with no hotel.
Madam Chair, I think there's some reaching out to be done to verify some of this. He said, she said, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that at this point. I'm a little confused by the whole thing. I mean, I sat through an hour presentation and I thought they didn't want it, now they do, now, so, and I would support the, Mark's recommendation with committee. I would support that. I think that would make sense going forward.
I think that's a good idea. And I'd love to see Mr. Porter and Mr. Doty part of that committee, along with Mr. Hilton and Stephen. Be a good addition. And it sounds like that needs to happen fairly quickly.
For me?
You wanna talk about the letter you received today, or no? Or the email?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Do you wanna talk about it,
Well,
or?
except I don't know what exactly it says, but I think, well, isn't Jim still on the line?
Jim, you there?
I
am here.
Oh, good.
Or Dave can read it real quick.
Jim, would you like to discuss the email that you sent to me about the committee?
Just that, are we talking about the committee that's on the table before us now in regard to, the Chase?
Yes.
Yeah, I just, kind of gave Dave a heads up on, our review of the letter, and that, Mark was gonna be bringing a thought that we put together a subcommittee. I asked Dave if that was something that he'd be willing to serve on, and he indicated that he would. If we have room for Dave, I'd like to include him there. I don't want it to get, so big that it becomes unwieldy. And, the bigger you go, the harder it is to come to a consensus.
Sure.
But, having somebody with Dave's background would be helpful.
So that would just be 3 members of the commission, which still would be under a quorum. So that's doable.
Yeah.
Correct.
Would be 2.5 because our chairman's got a bad knee right now. Just kidding.
Thanks a lot.
Hope you're doing all right.
Yeah, working on it. Thanks.
And let me just, this is probably a technical legal point, not asking and you shouldn't be forming a subcommittee or a committee with any particular authority. I think this is more in the category of instructing staff how to proceed with the negotiation.
Yes.
Okay. You got your instructions?
Sounds like I do.
Okay.
All right.
All
Thank
righty.
you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, do we have any commissioner reports?
I'm good. The Yotes play this Friday. Let's go. Go Yotes.
Mr. Chair, since you're out there, do you have anything to report for the chairman report?
No, I don't. I'm on the mend, and I'm sorry I can't be there in person tonight. But Julie, I appreciate you guys and everything that you're doing. You run a good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. I have no report either. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Allgood, seconded by Mr. Doty. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Julie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when it came. No, I don't need